Hello, I'm Matthew Heines. I'm running for Congress in Washington State's 1st Congressional District. It is a big tech district. If you don't know it, this is the home of Microsoft, and we have Google, Facebook, and all of the ABC social media companies that you could imagine centered right here, which means it is a highly Democrat area. And if you haven't seen yet, I have a few documentaries out, and one of them is called Rigged in a State of Hate. I will put the link to the trailer in the subscription. I am working on the sequel to that right now. That movie was about running here in 2022 as a Trump Republican, and I'm working on the sequel about running here in 2024 as a Trump Republican, and things haven't changed much. There is a lot of hatred, there's a lot of violence, a lot of viciousness that is put against people like me that are running to support our country and to make America great again. So I want to talk to you very briefly about some updates that have come out about this shooting and the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. On Sunday, I made a video and I talked about what we knew initially about what happened, and I want to talk about that, and then I want to talk about the updates that we have just learned over the past 24 hours or so. So when I did my first video, and I'll post a link to that in the description as well, we talked about how this really looked like the Lee Harvey Oswald, or not the Lee Harvey Oswald, but the Kennedy assassination, and how they had left a window open and, figuratively speaking, to let the assassins in, and a team of assassins took out President Kennedy. So we are hearing more and more about how the same thing happened in this assassination attempt against Donald Trump. So in my original video, I talked about how this 20-year-old kid was able to climb up on a roof, that people were telling, hey, this guy is on the roof, and that there were some interesting things about him that came out immediately. And one of those interesting things was that he had no social media posts. So just to reiterate what I said in that video, is that we would have to see the reaction of the Secret Service and the intelligence agencies and see if they were complicit in this, because at the time that I made the video, we couldn't really make much of a determination, other than the one thing that I pointed out was that this kid had no social media posts. But now we're going to move on to the updates that have come out. We're finding out that this person was actually a person of interest, that the FBI or the Secret Service, somebody was actually looking for this kid at the time of the shooting. Now, other thing that we're finding out now is that the roof on which he was shooting at the president, that was an outpost for people to keep a lookout for snipers or anybody that might attack the president. So right under their noses, he was able to climb up on the roof and shoot at the president. Now, not only was he able to climb up on the roof and shoot at the president, it's not like nobody saw him there. Number one, you had a number of people that went and said, hey, there's a guy climbing up on the roof with a rifle and he's low crawling, and they didn't do anything about it. And then we find out now that there was actually a policeman that went onto the roof. The guy pointed a gun at him and he backed down. So now let's talk about the Secret Service, because at the time, the Secret Service obviously knew that guy was there, and he was on the roof of their outpost. So why was he allowed to climb onto the roof of the outpost, and then the shooters did not take a shot at him? We have to ask some questions immediately, and I just want to tell you what I'm doing here. You're going to hear bits and pieces of this shooting and this assassination attempt, but they're not going to put anything together because they don't want you to think or come to any conclusions. And if you want to know more about that, I'm pretty much an expert on it, because I've written a book called Deceptions of the Ages, which explains how the media controls us by making sure that we have the wrong information and that we are programmed and fed information to keep us from actually thinking and asking questions. So the question is, How did this kid get on? He was a person of interest. He climbed up on a roof that was the outpost of the shooters. Did that kid know that that was an outpost for the Secret Service or the police or whatever? So, as I said in my video on Sunday, that kid, according to the FBI or whoever was conducting the investigation, had no social media posts. But suddenly he was a person of interest. So why the sudden change? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Joe Biden and the Democrats, and how I talked about in my video on Sunday that Democrats have a culture of hate and assassination, and they have been talking about killing Donald Trump ever since he ran for president in 2015. It has been nonstop. These people have attacked justices. They have attacked candidates like myself. They shot Stephen Scalise and another representative at a softball game. You have Maxine Waters saying that you need to attack and be violent to these Trump Republicans like myself. And now you have Joe Biden come out and saying, I'm not responsible for it. And I didn't say put Donald Trump in the bullseye, which was exactly a signal to some nut, to some crazy person to go out and try to kill Donald Trump because he would be cleared by the Joe Biden administration. That's exactly, and media and society, according to what these Democrats are saying. So Joe Biden is absolutely complicit in this. Now, how much he knew about it and, if he was actually involved, well, we do know that, as I said in my video on Sunday, they left a whole window open. They left an opportunity for somebody to get on that roof. So how much did that kid know, and why did the FBI say he had no social media posts, but then they come out and say, oh no, he was a person of interest and we were actually looking at him. So that's pretty suspicious, and if that doesn't alarm you enough, and the fact that he was able to climb up on a roof that was used by the Secret Service or the security detail as an outpost to look for snipers, then you don't really have a brain that's actually functioning. So the next thing we need to talk about is the Secret Service reaction. And I talked about the Secret Service reaction when I made my first video, and I pointed out that yes, I'm an ex-paratrooper, spent 4 years in the Army. I was what you call a grunt. I was a guy that carried a machine gun around or a rifle, and I'm a guy who knows exactly what you do when you go under fire. So those are the first, these are the initial things that we need to be concerned about. But then we need to look exactly at the Secret Service and why was that, why was the head of the Secret Service not immediately fired? And why is she sitting there telling everybody that the buck stops with her, but she's not offering her resignation? So this is where I want to conclude this video, because now we know that the FBI did know about this guy, and then the FBI says he didn't have any social media, but somehow they knew he was a person of interest. We know that he climbed onto a roof that was full of FBI or Secret Service agents. So did they allow him to do that? These are all things that need to be looked at. What was Joe Biden's role? Because I firmly believe that he came on TV 2 hours later on Saturday to say his intent was to say that Donald Trump had been killed, but since he hadn't been killed, then he had to come out with another message, and that message was he didn't know anything about what went on, yet he's the commander-in-chief of the United States, and this was an assassination attempt on his opponent. Now, the last thing that I want to point out is that nothing has changed. They say that they're going to give Donald Trump more security, but that would be like, well, we're going to put more burglars onto the team to go into your house and steal your stuff. Putting the criminals who are responsible for the whole thing, giving them even more power is absolutely insane and ludicrous. And if you saw Donald Trump walk into the National Convention last night, he had a look on his face like he knows this isn't over. And you should know this isn't over. They are going to go after him whether he on his campaigns, they're going to go after him when he's in office, and this is never going to stop because the Democrats are terrorists. And if you don't understand that, look around you. Look at the cities in which you live. Look at how they are just crumbling with violence and hatred and crime and theft and rape and assault. The Democrats are just hateful terrorists, and you don't see Republicans out doing this. And I also want to point out that if this had happened to Joe Biden, that these people would be lynching Republicans on the street, and they'd be coming after people like me. But Republicans are peaceful people that just want to do their jobs, they want to raise their families, and they want a peaceful America. Now, if you want to keep your job and raise your family and live in a peaceful country that isn't full of Democrat scumbags that are in control, then you need to vote for me. I'm running for Congress in the 1st District. You can support me, and I am a Trump Republican. I'm the only Trump Republican on the ballot. You can go to Vote for Heines, and I have a WinRed link that you can donate to, and I also sell books, and I have merchandise that I sell on Vote for Heines. So that is your comprehensive look at the updates that have come out, and that really should be alarming to everybody in this country and everybody around the world, because if it happens to us, it can happen to you. And eventually what's going to happen, and what they want to happen, is that nobody will have the courage to run for any office so that they can take over, and they are taking over for billionaires like Soros and Gates and this Claude Schwab, or whatever his name is. They are doing their dirty work so that the very super rich can take over our country in the name of trying to help people out. So I'm Matthew Heines, and I ask you, support me. Go to voteforheines.com, check out my website, donate if you can, vote for me if you live in the 1st District, and support Donald J. Trump for our president. And please vote for him, and get your friends and your family to vote for him, so that we can put these Democrats so far away that we never have to worry about them again. And together, you and I and President Trump and the Republicans all over this country who really care about the country and care about you and care about the future, we can make America great again. I'm Matthew Heines. We'll see you next time.
My name is Matthew Heines. I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran of the 82nd Airborne. I took the oath, and I'm here to defend my state.
Congressman Susan DelBene has been in office since 2012. Using her substantial financial resources, thanks to Microsoft, and her $84 million fortune, she has been able to continually maintain an office where people still have little idea what she's done. Well, she's learned to dance around, and she's learned to do all the political maneuvers you have to do to keep getting reelected. Well, Susan DelBene, it's time for you to go.